I'm at Cortijo Romero, and I have the pleasure of speaking to David Collett, who is Israeli but originally English. And David has been a photographer for more than 40 years. Tell me, David, how did you start? How did you get into photography? Because you are a professional and have had exhibitions.
Well, originally I was introduced to photography by a good friend of mine who was a good amateur photographer, and he introduced me to it in the hopes that it might help me with a bout of depression.
Well, it certainly did.
In fact, it was my therapy. Although photography as therapy in those days was not really recognized technique, since the camera was regarded as a mechanical implement only.
But you only work in black and white, and you specialize in women and their shape, their form, which is like an art form for you. Can you tell me about why you chose women or older women?
I've always chosen women of approximately my own age.
And you're 80 now,
I'm now 80.
But you would have started when you were 40.
Oh yes, I started with 40-year-olds. But I've always found attraction, first of all, in women rather than in men, and secondly, in something like the equivalent of my own age, something which enabled me to feel some kind of reflection of myself via my subject.
And did you study photography? Because you know, we've talked about Brassai, for example, and Cartier-Bresson. Did you study the history of photography, black and white photography, I mean?
I studied photography informally by myself initially, and after several years of both having exhibitions and teaching, I decided to go and learn the trade, and then I spent 3 years learning commercial photography and industrial photography.
So you were teaching before you learnt the trade, so to speak?
I was teaching before I learned the trade.
Wow, okay. Well, let's have a look at some of these extraordinary photographs, because I, frankly, have never seen anything like them before. Now, number one, can you tell me about...
It is a woman,
tell me about it.
It's a woman of my own age, a
Yes.
friend of mine.
Yes.
She's 80. She's 82, actually.
When was this taken, this
It
photograph?
was taken last year.
Okay, okay.
It's a simple torso, the tones of which are reversed in the computer, actually.
Right,
There is no
right.
great skill in it.
Right,
It is just the eye to see, that's all that's
right,
required.
right. Yes, number two. Okay, now this reminds me of sort of Giacometti. It's really extraordinary.
I initially wanted to make a multiple exposure on one body to give a feeling of movement. It developed into this feeling, for me, of a dream state and of an angel, or of a very much reduced, as you say, Giacometti figure, but it's definitely more ethereal than earthy for me.
All right, let's see number three. Ah,
This is simply a part of the same figure, but when isolated from the whole, it shows a rather eerie, multi-eyed...
a monster.
No, I wouldn't say a monster, I'd say a being.
Okay,
Shall we go on?
very strange. Yes, yes. Okay.
Again, a similar image, but with a different kind of a feeling to it. If the first was a beginning, then this is an end. If the first was an end, then this is a beginning.
Okay, and the next one?
And once again, an isolated head, which once again, in this particular case, has more of the monster than the angel.
Okay, well, this is part one. So we're going to finish here and then go on to the very strong faces. Thank you, David.